welcome to this week's M&A TV. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Later, Chris takes us on another walk down Ghostly Lane. Fran has a new segment all about tarot cards. And Jody will be telling us one of his real paranormal encounters. But first up, here's Fran with this week's crystals.
This week we are focusing on healing emotions using crystals. Amethysts are great at balancing out your emotional highs and lows and encouraging emotional centering. It gently dissolves emotional blocks. To use crystals for healing emotions, you just need to lay in a darkened room with the crystal placed above the corresponding area linked to certain emotions. Bloodstone teaches you to recognise when it would be beneficial to undertake a strategic withdrawal. Sometimes we all need to learn when to cut negative ties with people and places around us. It reduces irritability, impatience and aggressiveness and promotes selflessness. Meditation music in the background can help you focus when healing your emotions. Malachite helps you deal with flexibility in life and encourages you not to dwell on problems. It supports emotional healing and it goes deep into your being to release causes of disease. It is great at recognising deceit and seeing past people's lies. It can help you focus on your true desires and the intent needed to get you where you need to be. Placing a crystal in a bath can also help heal your emotions. Malachite is one of my all-time favourite crystals, and for good reason. It's a very powerful emotional detoxifier, so it can really help draw out any negative feelings and help you rebalance your emotional health. Just always remember to cleanse your crystals before you use them and to open up your chakras. Mount Shasta Opal infuses love into the emotional body and the mind to create calm, quiet and inner space. It's useful for emotional healing at any level. It disperses stress. Placed at the throat, it can help you communicate clearly and with focused intent. It is a stone of faithfulness and loyalty. Incense is a great addition to help in your healing rituals. Rose quartz is a lovely little crystal. It draws more love into your life and it can gently dissolve old heartbreak, resentment and jealousy and releases them so that you can heal and start to enjoy your heart again once more. It's said to attract your soulmate if worn around your neck, and this is something I know happens quite frequently. I will tell you more about rose quartz quite soon. Rose sapphire dissolves self-doubt and negative image and helps boost your confidence. It can wash away old wounds and destructive beliefs, and it offers deep compassion for you all if you have been through a rough journey. Smoky quartz stabilises emotions during emotional trauma or stress and dissolves negative emotions and is great for detoxifying emotions. It's also said to relieve fear. Happy emotional healing. Now, let's take a look at this week's crystal. We might have to skip back a bit because we're going to be talking about rose quartz, which was covered earlier in this segment. Rose quartz is a stone of universal love. It restores trust and harmony in relationships and encourages unconditional love. It purifies and opens the heart at all levels to promote love, self-love and friendship. It can attract your soulmate towards you. It also strengthens and balances the physical heart and circulatory system. Love and light.
Hello and welcome to Mary's Paranormal Adventure. This time it's me, I'm doing it. And our tactic this time is Spirit Box. Now I came in here after work and I put the Spirit Box on and tried to connect with Mary. But what was odd is that I was actually getting other people through. Now, through the week, obviously we sort of try and take note of things that happen with Mary and things that go on. Now, I haven't so much heard any like footsteps or weird things like that. A couple of things did happen. So the first one was when Hunter's bored, he has a little mosey around the house. He sniffs things that he has sniffed 1,000 times. He's bored, he just does stuff. Now he walked into what's called the middle room. Now the middle room has the fridge, some storage shelves and the tumble dryer. And the middle room's like an extension off the side of the house. It has the office, back there's the loo, and obviously what connects this to the kitchen is the middle room. Now he went in there on his own, no one else was in there. He yelped and ran out. So that was odd. Nothing physical has moved from where it's been put, so nothing's fallen on him or fallen on his paw. So what made him yelp? We don't know. The other thing that was odd was actually the other day. Me and Shell were sat in the kitchen having a conversation. It went quiet for a minute after we finished talking, and then all of a sudden one of the handles behind us, again connected to the middle room, moved on its own. Now, no one had touched that door for a good hour, at the very least. So it wasn't like it had recent activity or anything, or recent use. It literally had been sat there for an hour, and all of a sudden we both heard the door's handle move. So we've had a few weird things happen. So I'll crack on with it straight away. Listen to the Spirit Box. My special tactic this time was I actually left the room and left it running. Watch this. Okay. And we're back again. Now that I've got my pizzas on. Do you like pizza, Mary? You ever had pizza? Right. How many spirits do we have in the house? What? Say that again. Hello? Is that you, Mary? Come and speak to me, darling. Don't be afraid, sweetheart. I'm still your pal. Always will be. So come on over. Come and have a seat and speak to me. Tell me how you're doing, how you're feeling. You be as truthful as you want. Don't be afraid. Are you still sad? Right, so who's behind me? Well, I'm guessing whoever you are is thinking I can't tell, but I can. So come on. Who's behind me? Thank you. Right. I want to speak, pretty please, to the inhabitant of this vessel, young lady, who's supposed to be 11 years old, but feel free to correct me. If you are the inhabitant of this doll, say so. Now. Okay. Oh, right, so I'll let you in on what's going on at the moment. There's a lot of energy moving around this room at the moment, which I'm picking up on. I couldn't tell you what precisely is going on. They're all being a fair bit quiet because the last time I started this up, everyone had a lot to say and was talking over one another. Now they seem to be fairly quiet. I know you're in the room. Are you having to try and fight past the people here? I hope not. For their sake. I said I want to speak to the lady or young lady who inhabits this doll, and only that person. And I don't want to hear a damn thing other. I said I don't want to hear a damn thing other than from the inhabitant of this doll. Now. Now then. My young friends, Mary, I think we established was your name, I think, through Pendulum, didn't we? Don't worry, sweetheart. Come on. Is that you, Mary? Right, let's get to the bottom of this. Who are you? Not you, Mary. Right, sweetheart. I'm not talking to you now. Who's the person who keeps coming onto this and trying to intervene? Who are you? Yes, you. I am trying to speak to you how to use this doll, and every time I do, I'm getting interrupted. Why? I find the whole thing extremely rude. Now, the young lady who inhabits this doll is under my protection. In this house, she falls under my protection, under my wing. Yes. Drop the sarcasm. I'm far from interested. Now, when you're ready, Mary, I'm going to step out of the room for a little bit, okay? I'm going to leave this running. And if you have anything you want to say to the camera, okay, you go ahead and say it. You feel free to say anything you want. This is your home now, Mary. Okay? Your home now. So it's equal part your home to anybody else's. So you feel free to say anything you want. I said so. Okay? So that's in stone now. So you go ahead and speak to that camera or speak through the spirit box, and you let the people watching how you feel. Uncensored. So how it is. Okay? I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay? I'll shut the door. There's another door. Right, I'm going to have to end it there. The rest of the footage doesn't really have much on it. It has kind of more of the same. Little noises or some things coming through on the spirit box which you can't actually tell what they're saying. Somebody is sort of trying to talk, but whether they're actually trying to talk to you or to the camera or whatnot, I don't know. I don't think so. It almost sounds like there is kind of a conversation going on, but I don't know. But I could let it run on forever. There's like at least half an hour's worth of footage, but I can't keep you all night. I will give it some more tries here and there, so you have some more adventures with Mary and see what happens. But for now, that's it for me. Thank you.
Hello. Don't know if anyone else has seen the headline in the news this week about the Queen and who she's sharing the lockdown with. But apparently she is sharing her lockdown with the deceased. And no, I don't mean Prince Philip. He's alive and well. Apparently at Windsor Castle there is 25 ghosts within the walls which the Queen is sharing her lockdown with, and it's been reported by the Sun newspaper. As we know, the Sun's not always very reliable. They can twist things and other things, but they have actually, by the looks of it, spoken to the Queen herself about the ghosts within Windsor Castle. That it reports the Queen, along with her sister Margaret, even claimed to have seen the ghost of Elizabeth I. And according to Visit Britain, it is claimed that the ghostly figure of Elizabeth I is often seen in the library, and her footsteps can be heard on bare floorboards before her striking presence appears. Another ghost that is said to inhabit the famous castle is George III. He has allegedly been witnessed looking longingly out of a room beneath the library where he was confined during his several periods of madness. Another ghost that is said to haunt the castle is Henry III, who has been heard hobbling around in the Direnary cloisters. It is said that you can sometimes hear the sounds of his leg thudding on the floor as he walks. Meanwhile, in the grounds of Windsor Great Park, it has been said you can sometimes spot the ghost of the huntsman for Richard III. And it goes on to report that there's also many ghosts within Buckingham Palace. I mean, how do people feel about these buildings being haunted? Personally, I think it is possible. They are that old and that historic, that there's bound to be some sort of spiritual activity, whether it's tape theory or whether, you know, there are royals there with unfinished business or feel like they still have a part to play in the royal family long after their departure. So, yeah, tell us your views. What do you think? Or is this just a bit of a publicity stunt at the moment, just to get us kind of thinking of the Queen again, whilst the lockdown's happening? Okay, love and light.
Hello there guys, and welcome to this week's Real Paranormal Encounters. Now this week, we haven't got a special guest coming on to talk about theirs, member of the public or anything. This is one that I experienced. And it was when I think it was about 2003 when both Shell and I worked down at the spa in much of a luck. Now, we've mentioned briefly little bits about this in the previous live that we had, but I just wanted to go into a little bit more detail of what actually happened. Now, previous to the refit, we've always had movement in the back of the shop and stuff like that. We're hearing, weird things. So when we had the refit, they had to extend the shop out to the left-hand side. So they had the extension, and most of the shop was put into the left-hand side, looking at it from outside. So all the stuff, all the aisles. There's only a couple of aisles because it was only tight. We could only have, a small shop basically. Because it's half the size of it was. So we had everything that side, and then they made the taking up all the floors, stuff like that. They found human remains and stuff like that, and that's where things, started to get a bit more action. There was more moving, things moving in the back of the shop. And it was one night, whilst the refit was happening. I was at the back. I was just doing general jobs, just washing up some of the cups that had been left from the day. And I turned around and I saw a figure. I knew it couldn't have been anybody in the shop because it was the shop that had been, the floor had been taken up and stuff like that, and it was actually part being refitted at the time. And it was like, it was a tall figure, it was a completely white glowing figure. It turned towards me, and I was like, I turned away and I was like, did I really see that? I looked back and it had gone. Now, I went straight out and told the girl that was on with what happened. It was a bit surreal, a bit scary. This was actually featured on BBC's Pebble Mill when it was running. I was interviewed for telly and I was on telly. So there is, you can actually see that online somewhere. If you just search, Sparmuch Wedlock, BBC Paranormal, you'll be able to see my interview, and there's an interview with the other staff as well. So yeah, that's it. That's my real paranormal encounter for this week. So anybody, if you've got a paranormal encounter that you want us to feature on the show for next week or over the previous weeks, please get in touch. You can send a video of yourself, of yourself telling the tale, or you can send us like a message, and we can say it on your behalf. So thanks very much for joining me this week, guys, and see you in next week's show.
Welcome back to our trip down Ghostly Lane. We return to the place where it all began, the Bridge North Tunnel. We've returned with new friends, Brian and Nathan, the paranormal detectives. After seeing our video and hearing our story, they were keen to try it themselves. One request from me to Highways England, and I was able to get them in on the proviso that I went with them. We didn't waste time. We started setting up our equipment, and then shortly afterwards, proceeding to split up into 2 teams. Myself with Nathan, and Shell was with Brian. We quickly began investigating. Shell and Brian having problems with battery drain and equipment malfunction, and lots of noises following me and Nathan. Now Nathan did lose specific files on his SD card, as we say in the video, but that wasn't the strangest thing. The night would proceed along the same lines. Strange noises, strange feelings, equipment failures. But it wasn't until we really split up that the best stuff started to happen. After having returned to each other, when the teams had split up, with Shell returning with Brian and me returning with Nathan, we would share our stories and tell each other what had happened. But this was the point it became really quite interesting. Not so much for our actual results, but more for the atmosphere that was created. In my opinion, at the time, I felt like something had reacted to us. Finally. But it wasn't a good thing. As the night moved ever onwards, the feeling like we had attracted attention would intensify with time. At one point, our team split would end, and the team would come back together. This is where something odd happened. As we approached Nathan and Brian, in order to bring the investigation together, we heard a curious noise from down the tunnel. It sounded like one of the cameras had switched itself off. Nathan and Brian stating clearly that this was impossible because it was a fresh battery. So I went to investigate. As I approached the camera, alone, down the tunnel, far away from Shell, Nathan and Brian, the feeling that I wasn't alone got stronger and stronger. It wasn't until I got to the camera, yards away, I started to report in, telling them how I felt, what was happening. Suffice to say, radio talk went backward and forward, and they offered to back me up. I kept telling them, ask the spirit box, ask the K2 about me, what's going on. Try and see if you can get some results, because I feel like something's going on. That's when it happened. The voice over the radio. Hearing them tell me that they just heard a woman's voice was
bit unsettling, I can tell you. Still separated. I'm on my own. Now trying to deal with the fact that I might have something with me. Watching. Following. With something in mind. Down the other end of the tunnel, Shell, Brian and Nathan have the K2 rested up against Savannah, trying to communicate in an attempt to get to the truth. What's curious is that at the moment they tell me that they hear a voice just before the K2 starts going off. I tried to tell them that I was running the Echovox at the time, letting Brian and then Nathan listen to the Echovox to try and see if that was what they heard. But they were both adamant that the voice they heard over the radio was nowhere near the same as what the Echovox was pumping out. Did I really have someone with me? This sort of activity would go on during the night, and it would become apparent to us that it was possible that in the building of the tunnel, the workers may have disturbed the resting place of some poor souls. It would also become apparent that something else had found a home here. But exactly what that thing was still lies beyond our ability to explain. I think in this investigation, the location was covered quite thoroughly. Although me and Shell were only there to guide Brian and Nathan, to help them out with their equipment and their investigating, keeping our own to a minimum. Through some of our results, would seem to point to the fact that someone was trying to talk to us, but just what they were trying to say is still beyond us today. I'm quite happy with how this investigation rolled out. I'm happy for the fact that Brian and Nathan managed to corroborate some of our evidence and our very first investigation, justifying our theories that something really is there. This investigation would mark the first time that I would be on my own and experience things on my own. It would be the first time I would walk away from the team, if only to inspect equipment and find out what had gone wrong. The weirdest thing about that was there was nothing wrong with the camera. It was still recording. It was still on. I learned a lot from this. Watching Brian and Nathan work was inspiring. Seeing another way of doing things helped alter our way of operating. This investigation was a real eye-opener. and a real privilege too, because after this we made some real friends. If it were only possible to go back, I'd like to try it one more time. But that's all we have time for today. Join us again down Ghostly Lane for more tales.
Each tarot deck is made out of 78 cards. 22 of those cards are major arcana cards. The difference between a major arcana and minor arcana is major arcana highlights major events or turning points in your life, whereas minor is all about the everyday. The most commonly misunderstood card of a major arcana is number 13, Death. The movie industry and Hollywood does not help by using this card to foretell unfortunate events and actual death. But the death card in a tarot reading is nothing to be feared. On some decks he will appear to be a Grim Reaper, which can be a little unnerving. The number 13 is also said to represent some form of dying, but it is generally showing the end of a particular cycle or situation, so that new order and life follows. Some decks will have on the number 13 card 2 trees, one dying on one side and one thriving on the other, to depict that for the death of one thing, the start of new life begins. Tarot cards will have different meanings depending on the way they are facing. Upright, death means the ending of one cycle, so that new opportunities can thrive, letting go of past pain, old ways and associations to allow you to embrace the next phase of your life. And great opportunities await. Upside down, or reversed, this card means that there's major changes for which you are not prepared, but are entirely necessary. It can also mean that you've been looking too far into the past, and it's telling you to start to look to the future instead. It can also be read as a warning that you are looking at an old relationship longingly and that you need to let go and move on. So, in short, the Death card, number 13, actually means change, moving forward, and new beginnings, and is nothing to be scared of if it comes up for you in a tarot reading. And if the person doing the reading does try and put a negative spin on it, then you know they're a bit of a charlatan and to walk away. Hope this helps. And like the great song says, don't fear the Reaper.
Hi and welcome to Paranormal Chat. Now, we don't have a team to join us this week, so I'm going to actually talk to you about last week's topic from Paranormal Chat, and that was ESM Paranormal's new group, the Paranormal Exchange. Now, as they said, and you may remember, that this is a group for people to share, or teams to share their paranormal items amongst each other, to investigate, to see if we can find the same results that other teams got for our items, which I think is a really good idea. Now, you may remember that during that interview that Chris did with John, he showed us one of his objects, a little elephant figurine, and during that segment they noticed something a little bit strange on later review, that the elephant seemed to change colour. It's actually grey or white, but on screen it looked almost green, and it sort of played around with the colours of the whole video. So Chris has made a little section of footage which we have shared to our Facebook page, but I'm going to show you that now. So let us know in the comments what you think was the cause of that. If you get any vibes off the elephant as well, let us know. I'm pleased to let you all know that John has agreed to let us have the elephant for a little while and do a few investigations of our own with it. So we'll be running a few tests to see if we can get any evidence from it before we then send it back to John, or if anybody else would like to borrow it who is part of that group, then we'll send it on to them. So if you haven't already, please go and check out the group on Facebook. It's a really awesome idea, and hopefully we can start to share out some paranormal objects and see if we can get further evidence that will help add weight to evidence that you've already gathered. So if you get the same results as we get, for example, then that's going to add double the weight to that piece of evidence. So that's all we've got for this week's Paranormal Chat. Hopefully next week we'll be joined by some other teams with some more content for you, but until then, we'll see you soon. Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. I hope you have enjoyed watching the show as always. Now, before we leave, I just want to say that we are planning to end this series of M&A TV with episode 12. So tonight was episode 9, which give us 3 more weeks of videos for you. We are still looking for teams though to get involved. So we are looking for individuals to come and share with us their real paranormal encounters. So any kind of paranormal encounter you've had that you would like to share with us and our viewers, then please get in touch and we can add you in. And we are also looking for teams to speak to for our paranormal chat feature. So that can be from anything from a specific topic you would like to talk about, or even a little bit about your team, where you're based, what sort of things you get up to, and that kind of thing. So we already have one team lined up for that. Hopefully we're going to save them to the final episode 12. And we also want to do something a little bit special for episode 12. So we might make it a little bit longer than the usual, and we're still trying to work out what we might do, but we want to do it a little bit differently and make it a little bit better and special, so to mark the end of this fabulous series. Like we said at the very first episode, this was something we decided to do while lockdown was on, just for something for us to do basically, and to give you guys something to watch whilst you're all stuck in your houses. And I think it's gone really well. It's really turned out how we wanted it to, and we're pleased with the whole concept. So we will be back with future episodes, but for the time being we're going to finish at episode 12 like I said, and then take a little bit of a break from this, and hopefully within the next 3 weeks we'll have an idea of when we can get back out and investigate again. So anyway, if you want to get involved, please drop us a message, get in touch, and we'll sort that out. So again, thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you next week.